Welcome back to the X Podcast. So glad to have you joining us today. And I have two of my great friends with me here at the table, and that is Zach.
Hello.
No other names needed.
No.
Zach
no,
Brown.
Please, especially when Russ is
Russ is
here,
gone. We don't need nicknames.
We don't need
It's
nicknames.
just Zach, and we have Jesse joining
go.
us again. You're going to be here for a couple episodes. And so thanks for joining us. Both of these guys are on our team here at X Church, and a lot of fun to help lead ministries and do things that we do. But we just wanted to come together and have a fun conversation because, well, okay, before we get to that, back to school is in swing. Yeah. Both of you still have kids who are going back to school.
That's right.
Some of you even have spouses that went back to school.
Yeah.
Yep. What's that been like, sending the kids back to school? Has that been a good process? Has it been a tough process? I was talking to another, I don't want to call him out, but another guy who had his youngest daughter went to a version of school, and him and his wife were absolutely a mess. She was fine. He was a mess. So I'm just curious what it's been like sending your kids to school.
For us, it's been pretty smooth.
Yeah.
My wife is teaching third grade this year.
Okay.
So it's been a transition for her. She taught first the last couple of years. So that was a change for her. But as far as kids going back to school, it's been a breeze. It's been great for us.
Yeah. Wait, your youngest, though, is...
had not started yet.
Okay.
He'll start in another couple weeks.
He does?
He's in preschool.
Preschool.
This will be his second year.
Is it going to be full day or half day?
It's half day, 3 days a week.
Okay. Preschool.
Yeah, which is so inconvenient for anybody that has a job.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well,
It's so
It
inconvenient.
is dumb.
That's tough.
That's a hot take.
Yeah,
Figure
we
it
should
out.
do that.
We should do that.
What about you? You've got 17 kids.
Whoa, 4. Big difference between 17 and 4.
Not really.
It's not really. Once you get past a certain number, it's just another head, another mouth to
it's
feed.
just zone defense.
Yeah.
Actually, as of the time we're recording this, today was their first day back in school. So I'll let you know.
How many
whenever
of
they
them
go.
are gone?
2 are in school, and then we have 1 in preschool. Oakley, she's doing 2 full days and then 1 half day. Riddle me that as to what. But at least we get some full days in that process. Yep. So, but she'll start that in a couple weeks. They're very excited to do it. I feel like public school is getting more expensive. That's another hot take.
This is not a hot take episode.
I know,
we'll do another one of those
but just the fees, and then by the time you add like new school supplies and outfits and backpacks and.
Are your kids going to public school? Are they going to Fairfield?
So Milo goes to Liberty Union with Sarah.
Okay.
Cooper goes to a private preschool in Lancaster.
Okay. So you're complaining about full. Well, I mean, I'm sure your oldest son doesn't pay. That's probably one of the perks of working there.
Yep.
But
I was gonna say, I can't relate.
it's getting expensive.
Just like even in 3rd grade, I mean, there's like lab fees and technology fees and and then I'm sure as they get older too, extracurriculars. Those are getting expensive. Like even when I was in high school, but now it's getting more. Like it's just.
I'll tell you what.
It's expensive to have kids.
It was still way cheaper to have my kids play sports at the school than it was to do travel or club.
Yeah.
That was outrageous.
Yeah.
You'd go there and it was like, $120 for the uniform for the season. You're like, that's nothing.
$1,200.
Yeah, you had to spend a lot more than that in some of them. So
Yeah.
But and one last thing I just want to say before we jump into our conversation, what we're doing as a church.
What?
At the time of this recording, I know something you're really excited about next Saturday, Jesse.
Oh yeah, 10 days
I know
away.
you're so excited. 10 days. You know what's happening in 10 days?
I'm gonna assume it's something sports related.
Oh.
Oh
I
wait.
know it's the Buckeyes. They play Texas.
Yeah.
Right?
You
See?
can't miss that.
I got there. I'm so pumped,
I
dude.
bet you are.
I will give you a Alani right after this podcast recording.
Give Alana.
No, Alani, stop it. If you can name the Buckeyes' new starting quarterback.
Nope.
I'm just saying it's not that hard of a name. You could probably figure it out.
Chad Smith.
Just saying.
Justin Sane.
No.
Justin.
No help from the audience. No help from the audience. Julian saying.
Julian saying.
That's
You were
what
close.
That's what
I
I
was just
said.
saying, just trying to drop a little hint. It was,
Yeah.
But anyways, Buckeyes.
No
and
Alani for you.
I am going to be traveling. I didn't time that up very well for the biggest game potentially of the year.
Yep.
And I told my wife, we're not sightseeing, or you can go sightseeing, but I am watching the game.
You're traveling to a pretty cool opportunity too.
I am, but I'm going to be in LA.
Yeah, you
And-
got to share with the people.
Well, I'm going to be, yeah. I don't know if it'll come out before then, but I'm going to be speaking at a church in LA
That's awesome.
and Mosaic, and I'm going to be there. And I realized that Saturday was the very first Buckeye game.
Yep.
And so I told my wife, I was like, you can go do whatever. And we have some other friends that are going just to support. I was like, you can do whatever. There's a 3-hour time zone difference. It'll be 9 a.m. If I'm in the hotel room, whatever, I'm watching the game. So that's where I'll be Saturday morning on
Yeah.
the 31st
You
of
better be.
August.
You better be.
Watching the game, texting
Better be.
you.
Yep.
So, well, we as a church are in the middle of, I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing as a church. We don't talk about it all the time on this podcast, but I think this kind of series warrants us. We can have a little conversation about it and some of the feedback that we've gotten from it. We're in a series right now called At the Movies.
Love it.
Do you like it?
I do like it.
Here's what I know. I know not everyone likes it. I would say 98% of the people in our church like it.
You talking about our church?
Yeah.
I'd say that's
95,
probably
98%.
Yeah.
that's true for our church. But I think for the capital C church, it's very divisive. The series concept as a whole.
Yeah. That might be true. I think we have a different culture and probably
Yes, I
connection
agree.
to community, but I
agree.
definitely think that there are churches out there that would frown upon what it is that we're doing.
Yep.
And many people from those churches who like to let us know.
Uh,
So if for those who are watching this, if you're not local or a part of our community, At the Movies is something we've been doing for years, probably 7 years now, 8 years. We didn't come up with the idea, but we jumped on this, and it has, I mean, non-Easter or Christmas weekend, I can safely say it is our largest attended series of the year,
yeah.
without even batting an eye.
Yep.
Yep.
And we basically take movies, and each week is a different movie that and you help do this. You've been doing this with Next Gen and with kids. So you've jumped in. You love doing this.
Yeah, so fun.
And so you take a movie, you find scenes, and you cut it up, and you show a 4 or 5 minute, at least in the adult one, we show about 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6-minute clips. Sometimes they're cut pieces together as a scene. And then I will take, or if you're doing it for kids, we'll take and then tie that kind of story that's told in cinema and with multi-million-dollar budgets, and I'll tie it into a biblical truth.
Yep.
There's a message in it. It's not, we don't just watch a movie when we're in church. The whole thing, probably we show about 25 minutes in the adult experience, about 25 minutes of scenes.
Yeah, it's maybe a fourth of the movie,
Maybe.
Yeah.
and you
Maybe not even
kind
that.
of go through the plot, but sometimes
Sometimes I don't even go through the whole plot. We don't know
Yeah.
the characters. It's
Yes.
just we find a story. And, so let's talk about why, just per se, this seems very attractional to most people, especially people who don't go to church regularly. It's what we see a big bump in. And then B, why it is that there are some people that don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the attraction is in the fact that, like, I think we're all just drawn to stories. And so when you take a blockbuster movie that's got a crazy budget and top-tier actors that you maybe are already familiar with,
Yeah.
to then watch that and then do kind of what Jesus did is use a story to explain the kingdom of God. It's kind of a modern-day parable. I think that's appealing. And I think for people that are unchurched, it almost demystifies church a little bit of like, oh, no, I know that movie, or I'm familiar with this.
Yeah.
It makes biblical truth seems, I think, more relatable to people. And so I think that's some of the, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
let's,
I mean,
I
partially
don't think we can understate that. It's just fun.
We lean into it with decorating the
Yeah.
building. We have
Popcorn.
popcorn, so you come in on that
Raina's
Sunday.
favorite.
The smell of popcorn is in the air, and there's places to get your picture, and
Yeah.
we got a big hot air balloon in the middle of our
Yeah.
lobby.
Yep, foyer. I'm curious. We've been doing it. I think since 2017 is when we started.
16 or 17, one of the two.
17.
I can't remember. I
I'm
can't remember.
pretty sure it's 17.
17.
So,
So
shout
that's
out our
what?
first summer on staff.
yeah, it
Is
was.
that,
yep.
So that's 8 years?
Yep. So I want to know what's your favorite movie that you've ever done in your 8 years of doing it?
Oh, my gosh.
That's a good question.
That's be a tough one to answer. I don't even know if I could remember all of those.
I've got an answer of the favorite movie we've ever done.
Yeah,
I know
well,
which
I,
one-
was
I
gonna
already
ask you
know
what-
which
I was
one
gonna
it
ask what
is.
your kids.
I
favorite
could
one you've
probably
done.
get on board with that.
Yeah. I was saying
It's
of
your-
movies he's done.
Which one?
Interstellar. come on.
Interstellar. It's his favorite movie
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
That's
Come on.
I thought Interstellar was cool. That was a tough one. I remember you helped me with that, like just picking the
That's a
scenes
long
and try. It's
movie.
3+ hour movie, trying to
Yeah.
find scenes that could help tell a narrative
Yeah.
that you can build a message off of.
I do love that movie. That
I do.
movie's
So
the
good.
soundtrack
Epic
is so
movie.
good.
So
good.
The actors
So-
are so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been some really good ones. Like one that I probably liked as a movie to show, like just the whole
Whatever.
thing
Like
and the theme of it.
yeah, or
Oh,
theme. It could be theme. It could be just like a fun one. It could be. I feel like you always have like a couple blockbuster ones, and then maybe you always find one that literally nobody has ever
Yeah.
heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it
Probably
was good.
intentionally.
Like Peanut Butter Falcon. I had never heard of
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah.
And
Good.
watched
That's
it.
a good movie.
Great movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I actually got that one from I think Life Church. I saw them do it, or somebody, and that's happened to me with several movies
Mm-hmm.
that I've seen other people do or come across the movie and go, "That's such a good
Yeah.
movie. I would never imagine."
I have a favorite.
What's that?
My favorite. Interstellar is a really great choice.
Yeah.
I am still waiting for you to do Lord of the Rings. You haven't done that one yet, so we'll just.
I think Endgame has got to get in there.
Endgame
I
has got to
heard-
get in there at some point. Yeah, I
Tony
agree.
Stark died for our sins. It's right there.
Yes.
It's so easy.
It's very, very true. Very true. But no, I think one of my favorite, and we really leaned into this as a series as well, was when we did Christmas at the movies.
Oh, that one.
that
was
one
fun,
was
too.
so
Yeah.
fun. I think we did like, what?
We did. I remember
Polar
we did
Express,
Polar Express.
Christmas
Home
We
Alone.
did the Grinch.
Yeah,
Still Christmas.
Grinch, and then Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Christmas Carol
dude,
was good. That was
so
good. I like that one too.
So good.
Well, the most recent movie that surprised me, that I really loved how it all came together,
Yeah,
was the one we did this past Sunday.
yeah. No one mourns the wicked.
I don't know what you're singing right now, but is that from the movie?
That's from the
I
movie.
didn't
Yeah.
recognize it. The movie we did.
I'll try
It
to
sounds different.
find
Oh, that does
gravity.
sound a little bit different now. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do people hate it? Some that do. I think it's not a ton of people, but I think the people. I mean, we have some people in our church that don't love it,
Yeah.
and they'll either show up and tolerate it, or they'll disappear for 4 weeks, and then they'll come back. Some people, it's not what they're familiar with in church, and so they're like, "Well, I just want a sermon."
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think I could maybe argue from a devil's advocate point of view because I love the series and the concept, but I just think that for some people, when you think about church, and in the message portion in particular, which is when we show movies during the message. So we still do regular worship.
Do we though?
Yes,
That's
we do.
not what some people think.
Well, yeah, but we still do regular worship. We'll do baptism, which is a regular part of our experiences. But some people think that message piece should be a time where they're getting built up, they're getting encouraged, they're getting a word for the week, and
You
like
can't do that with a movie.
not in some people's minds, because the movie.
See, I don't think that's why. I think it's
I'm just
because
telling
there's
you
a
what-
sense of reverence.
well,
And that
that's
when you
part of it.
show a secular movie
Well, that's part of it.
in what's I would say considered
Yeah,
a
it's all of
holy
it
or a
together.
sacred type of experience, that you somehow
Cheapen it.
you somehow are introducing secular
You're watering it
something.
down.
Yeah.
Maybe watering it down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe-
it's all the
and
above.
some people may not like movies in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a real
and,
thing too.
And I can understand that. If you don't like movies, you're like,
Yeah.
why am I watching this clip? I want to hear. And some people are just like, I get it. Some people are just like, no, I want to study the Bible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, I don't, yes, you kind of have a narrative, and yes, we use scripture verses, and yes, we do this, but it's different than, like, give me this passage, give me this, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So I
It's
don't,
all
I
the
don't,
above.
I understand that some people may not love that we do it. I am a little surprised at how the criticism comes. sometimes. You know, because if there's a church or any organization that is doing something that I find like, I don't think I like that. Maybe it's a preference thing. Maybe you feel like it's bigger than a preference thing. I don't, if I know why they're doing it, I may not love it, but I don't necessarily feel the need to condemn it. Maybe that's just me, but it still feels like when you do anything, and that, I mean, not just with movies, but I mean, if you had a, I mean, I remember we don't do this very often, but except for last weekend, we don't do this very often, but you know, there was a time 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when it was pretty common for a lot of churches, modern churches, to sometimes open or play a secular song. Or they would sometimes open their experience with playing music from something real familiar that people would have, or if it fits with a series. We've done that in the past. And there are people that had a problem with that. You know, again, I think it's whenever you kind of introduce or bring the secular into a space that's considered sacred, whatever that means. But, you know, I understand the community. There's a level of sacredness to the community, the church community. But we violated that unwritten rule this past weekend.
Yep.
And I just want to say for the record, I know when we do certain movies that are going to probably garner negative feedback. And if you had any idea how many times I have to tell our team no to a movie that they want me to do because I know all it's going to do is stir up. Maybe not within our church, but it's going to stir up some kind of controversy. I promise you. Like, I have to say no.
So no, can't do Harry Potter.
You know what's funny is I do think we'd get some hate for showing Harry Potter.
Oh, we probably would.
I think we would. But
Yeah.
I also remember growing up at a time when, and I wasn't really growing up. I was older before
Yeah.
that. But even I remember a season in the church where
Yeah.
if you read Harry Potter or if
Yeah.
you went to go see a movie,
Yeah.
then you were involved in the occult and witchcraft and
Yep.
Spoiler alert: Harry dies for our sins too, just like Jesus did, and even comes back to life.
I'm not doing that. I refuse. There's do you know how
Spoiler
many
alert,
times
dude.
I've had people
I know.
asking me to do Harry Potter many times.
I know.
You're one of them.
Not as strong as others, but
The
yes.
problem is I just can't get through Harry Potter's movies. Those I tried. I got through like 1.5. You gave them to me, and I'm like, I want to shoot myself. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I guess they get better.
They do.
I don't
Which
know.
one did you watch? The first one?
First one,
That
it wasn't
is not-
bad.
it didn't age super well.
No, but it wasn't terrible. I was like, okay, there's 3 hours of my life I'm not going to get back, but I don't.
not
I
3
don't.
hours
I don't
long.
hate myself
Yeah.
for it. Then I watched the second one because that's what you would do. And hour and a half in, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
I actually agree. I think the
really
second
wa-
one's boring.
Oh, it was so awful.
That one is the hardest.
It'd
one
be
to get
better
through.
just to poke your eye out with a dull pencil. Number 2. I mean, it really is pretty bad.
Can we? Have we spoiled enough? Do people know what the movie is? that we
Okay,
did this
so
past
we'll just
weekend?
mention the movie we did this past Sunday was what?
Wicked.
Wicked.
Yes.
Wicked.
So this is. I remember when they asked me, because I wasn't going to do this movie. I just want everybody that hated it to know I did not want to do this movie.
See what he's doing there?
I wasn't going to. I saw it I saw it in the theater. My wife and I went and saw it.
It's great,
People were like, "Did you love it?" And I'm like,
dude.
"Yeah,
It's
but
great.
But we're not. Let me say this. I'm not really a musical type person. Definitely not. Definitely don't necessarily love musicals as movies. Okay. I had never seen Wicked in theater, so it had been on Broadway for a long time. I didn't really even know the story of it. I didn't know it was the origin story of the Wizard of Oz, and you know that tale. I didn't even know that. It just sounded like something that was evil, and
Wicked-
I just stayed away.
Origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Huh?
Origin story of the Wicked Witch.
Yeah,
of
I
the
didn't
West.
know it was an origin story for that or what the story was. So we went and saw the movie in theater, and I think I assumed that it was going to be more movie, less musical. As a movie, I
Yeah.
understand it was a musical. I thought they turned it into it was going to be a movie.
Movieify it.
And then it was a lot of musical. And I wasn't real familiar with the songs. And so it was like cute, but can we do the movie, right? So we didn't love it like all the theater nerds in our church and our team do. And so they came to me and were like, can we do Wicked? It's going to be awesome. It'll be epic. It's like one of the biggest movies last year. And I was like, Wicked? I don't know. And so I said, you know what? They were all really, a lot of them, they were like, we could do music from it. It's epic. The songs, everybody knows them. Except for me, obviously. So I said, I'll go watch it again. So I watched it again. And honestly, I liked it a lot the second time I watched it. I was paying attention more for like story and narrative and what would I pull out of this. And I was like, there's a really good theme woven through this story that I probably missed a little bit, just being annoyed at the songs that interrupted the storyline, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I was not a huge musical person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, any movie where the characters spontaneously burst into song, I'm out. I'm out.
It's like every Disney movie.
I'm out.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so,
man.
but I watched
y'all are
this-
missing out.
I watched it a second time, and I was like, wow, there is actually a really good theme to pull out of this. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. Because I also thought it was big, and part 2 is coming out a couple months from now.
Yep.
So I thought this is going to huge attention.
Get your midnight tickets.
No. So we did it. It was funny. One of the only thing we heard on Sunday was we had an elderly gentleman mention to one of the greeters. He said, Wicked. Like, I'm not sure we should be playing something like that in the church. She was like, it's not what you think. Call in. And I think he was fine, in it. That was, I think, the only response that we heard in person. Because you just hear the title. So you may not notice, but I tried my best to address, if you don't know what the movie's about, and you see a picture of what looks like a witch who's green on the front, and the title is Wicked, you're going to assume a lot of things about the story, right?
Yeah.
And I would have too. So I tried my best in the opening scene to say, hey, we're watching a movie that it's not as bad as the title might suggest. It's actually the origin story from the Wizard of Oz. And the story, which I thought was really powerful, is about this woman who's born different, and everybody ostracizes her, makes fun of her, and basically she becomes what they all project on her as being this wicked person who is actually not wicked at all.
Yeah.
And so we addressed some of the really good questions that were in there, like, are you born wicked, or is wickedness thrust upon you?
Yeah. It's a really good
It's a
question.
very good question. I actually liked it. It
Yes.
was one of my favorite movies from content-wise that I've done in a long time. I really thought, as a whole, the story and the way the pieces work together was one of my favorite. And we may have done, because it was a Broadway musical, we may have done a medley before the movie kicked off that had
Team crushed it.
3 songs that were done so well,
Yep.
and to make it part of it. And so, we got some feedback.
Let's hear it.
Feedback.
Yeah. So, we got some people that posted on the picture that we did, this is concerning that a church would do this. Yeah, I thought about that. We did get some direct message content. I'll read a little bit of one. So if you wanted this to be private, too bad. Won't say your name. But this was kind of the point I wanted to just I wanted to talk about it, and then I want to kind of to land somewhere. There was a small little clip that was shown of one of the performances that we put, I think, on the story, or someone did, that was probably just 10 or 15 seconds, however long you get on the story, of one of the performances.
One of the medleys.
One of the medley
Yeah.
that was just a few minutes long before the movie started. Because a lot of these songs, and Broadway has been around for a long time, the Broadway Wicked, and Defying Gravity, and some of these songs are kind
Popular.
of very popular. It's popular. And so we thought, okay, let's lean into it. And so we just had scenes that were on during those songs, and we had live people singing little clips of them. Somebody wrote in, I'm curious as to what the benefits are to having a wicked performance rather than worship. Do you still have a worship set? Did you put this much effort into the worship set? If you did, is this glorifying the Lord in the way you want as a church? and then goes on to just talk about, wow, I can't believe they replaced worship with wicked songs, and, a mega church, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And to set the record straight for anybody who didn't see it but saw our post, yes, we had a pretty incredible time of worship in a worship set that we had. It was moving, it was powerful. We had water baptism that I absolutely love the story of a woman whose life has been transformed and changed in our church in the last year and a half, and her birth mother has actually started coming to this church and coincidentally kind of found each other, I think, here, and how much God's working in her mom's life. I mean, it's just powerful testimony that we had in that. We had a message that actually gave the gospel, the full, let me explain what Jesus did for us in taking our sin upon himself. We gave an invitation. We had how many responses this past Sunday?
35.
35 people that raised their
praise
hand
God.
to
Made
pray
a
to give their life to
declaration.
Jesus
Yeah.
in faith. So to answer the question, yes, we put a lot of time and energy into our worship set. And yes, we glorified Jesus in our experience. And yes, a lot of people through a movie actually heard the truth about Jesus and wanted to take a step in their faith toward him. So my question for you guys, and I know we've kind of always been the church that would do stuff and then be probably criticized. Most of the time by Christians that aren't in our church, not by the world around us. And sometimes it's probably fair. So, sometimes we've done stuff, we go, I probably wouldn't do that again. But, it's always an attempt to reach people with the gospel and to share the gospel with them in a compelling way. It's not to water down the message. It's not to water down the truth. None of those things. We still have worship, and we still had baptism, and we still had all of those things. But what is it about our current climate that we can see a 10-second, 15-second, whatever clip of something that happens or something that somebody said, and we immediately jump to a very negative, condemning mindset about them? We jump to conclusions about what somebody believes. You can have one little clip that's pulled out of context, and all of a sudden you're a heretic, and I can't believe that you would say that or believe that. And so what is it about our current climate that I guess invites that?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a pressure now today, maybe more than ever, to have an opinion on everything. And not just to have like it's fine. To have I'm really for it or really against it kind of opinion. It's the Apple Android debate of if you love one, you hate the other.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a pressure to have an opinion on everything, to have a strong opinion on everything, and to voice that opinion. Whether it's social media or maybe it's we've all been trained to fall for clickbait or rage bait really easily now. We're maybe more susceptible to it. I don't know. It's just the pressure to have an opinion and to let everyone know your opinion. And I almost think with this kind of thing in particular, there are certain people that have appointed themselves watchdogs of the church at large. And this might be a stretch, but it almost reminds me of like when we hear about like why kids bully when they're younger. It's because there's an insecurity in them. And by bullying others, it gives them some kind of sense of superiority or some kind of validation that they're missing. And so, I don't know, I was thinking about today, like I wonder if it's the same kind of thing. If like these church watchdogs can point the finger at a church or a pastor or somebody that they feel like is doing wrong, then that automatically puts them on the spiritual high ground. And so they don't have to maybe think about themselves because they're worse than me. Does that make any sense?
No,
I don't
it
know. I was
does.
thinking
No,
about
it's
it,
really
like,
good.
I don't know. It's like this way of, is there, like, I'm trying to figure, like, why would you go to the lengths of to send a DM or to post a comment? Like, clearly you care a whole lot. It's gotten under your skin for some reason. And you assume you are correct, and it is your place to correct other churches
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, it's even the jumping to a conclusion when you see in an hour and 15-minute experience to see a 15-second clip of a piece of a performance piece that was done
Yeah.
right before the movie, and it's like, oh, wow, literally this person said when I saw this, wow, my first thought is you replaced worship with wicked songs. I'm like, why is that your assumption? Why is that your first thought? Because you see that one little piece. I mean, we posted on, if you follow us on there, you can see all the songs that we did. We posted on our story every Sunday. You can see clips of us leading, in worship every Sunday
I'm sure
is
there
listed.
were pictures of the baptism as well.
Oh yeah, it's always every Sunday.
Yeah.
That's on our thing. So why? I guess that'd be more of my curiosity is why when you
Motivation.
see a little clip, do you automatically jump to an extreme assumption
Yeah.
Yeah.
that wow, the church is sold out, and it's almost like because they even said, "Wow, I hope this isn't true. I really do like X Church and all that," and that's great. And I'm not. You can be genuinely curious, but why do you like? It's almost like there's this narrative that if a church does something that doesn't, like you said, fit within what your church does, what you assume should, that they've somehow sold out. It's like the whole argument about seeker-sensitive churches in the 90s and
Yeah.
all this stuff. It
Well,
was
that's what I
like they've watered down the gospel. No one actually preaches about who Jesus is. No one talks about sin. No one talks about. I mean, this was actually a great opportunity to talk about evil.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked about sin and how sin actually doesn't just happen around us, but it actually comes from within us, and it's from our heart.
Yeah.
And that actually sin comes because we're actually born with a sin nature. So it's like not watering down anything.
Well, this is where context matters. And I think that in this discussion, you pointed out, even before we started it, like it often seems to come from other Christians outside of our community. And I find this true to be about churches and our cultural moment around the world. Like it is often other Christians who point the finger at other churches, and I do think there's several reasons. We've mentioned them already, like the whole debate about mega churches versus a discipleship oriented church, whatever that means. There's this whole thing that's kind of present within Christianity, and it comes from good biblical understanding of verses, test out what's being taught, like make sure you understanding what's coming out. Even ideas back to the Reformation, where you see Martin Luther kind of call out the Catholic Church for certain things, and there's seeds of that all throughout the history of the church. And so you see these people who appoint themselves as arbiters of the truth. Okay, we're just trying to find out what truth is and making sure you're doing church the right way. And for people who criticize a method, because that's what this is, right?
Yeah.
This is a method. This is a methodology for how our version of church, our unique calling and expression of what church looks like, how we're trying to reach church. If you're going to criticize that methodology, one of the first questions that I have back to you is, okay, so this is how we're trying to reach a culture with the good news of Jesus Christ. You have a problem with this? Fine. What are you doing? What's your plan? What's your strategy to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ? And I just think that not that
What if they say, well, our church doesn't need to do things like that, but we still reach people?
I'll say, great,
Awesome.
good for you. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
Because that's what that person could say.
and I think that could be fair, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But my point is I think that there is no one size fits all. But this is on the greater human intrinsic level. We're tribal creatures by nature, right? We all know this. We tend to gravitate toward things we're comfortable with, that we know, that are familiar. And anything outside of that just feels scary, unknown, not safe. And so we criticize. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just what we do. And I think that if you're going to live with such a closed off mindset, a tribalistic it's my way or the highway mindset, you might go through life. I'm not even saying you're going to have a bad life experience, right? Like, because we all do that to some extent. But there's just so much more that you could experience, that you could be a part of, that
Like movies.
that you could step into, that
Yeah.
you're missing.
Well, I mean, I don't want to in turn assume. That's what this person did, was assume a lot. So I don't want to.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
no,
want to
no.
personally in turn assume a lot of things about this person. I
Yeah.
do think that for whatever it is, we have a picture in our heads, and I think we have a picture in our heads of. I think there's what things we prefer. So there's a
Yep.
preference. Some of this is maybe
Yep.
a preference of what you think church should be, because I think you said it. It's like this is a method.
Yes.
This is a way to deliver the gospel. This is a story. This is, I think there's preference. And then I think that there are people that kind of hold to that almost like the way they experience, I want to say, community in church is prescriptive. And I think sometimes we struggle with that in general. I've seen that quite a bit within church life, that, that's not the way, it's been done in the New Testament church. I'm like, the New Testament church, the book of Acts, there's like nothing prescriptive in it. Things happened all kinds of different ways. Like there's no rule book that says this is how to be a faith community. There's literally just a mission given, a calling given to a group of people. I guess you could question whether or not showing Wicked or scenes from Wicked is a good witness of Jesus. But I don't know. A lot of people actually got to see what Jesus did for us, and, through the presentation of the gospel through it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if maybe some people would think, hey, this does not reflect well. I mean, yes, in parts of Wicked, which we did not show, there are some incantations that happen. There's like one spot that happens in there. We didn't show that scene. I know some of that might be triggering for some people, when it comes to certain things. But in general, the story I thought was actually pretty powerful. The pieces, the way we used
Yeah.
the
yeah.
clips that we used.
One thing I want to push back on a little bit, like you said, New Testament is not prescriptive in the way you do things. I mean, I do think you see some things handed down from Jesus to his believers, like, hey, do some of these things. We're talking about the sacraments that I think are prescriptive for what
Sure.
the church should be
Sure.
doing. And I do think there is some.
Then we can debate how many of those there are.
Well, sure. I know in the Catholic Church there's 7, and most
Orthodox, there's like 7.
most Protestant
Think
would
operate
say
with 2.
2. Yes.
So, I mean, even that's debatable. And it's still never told how. Jesus said, when you do this, do this in remembrance of me. It's not said how often you're supposed to do this, how you're supposed to do this. Like, we're not even given that. And in 1 Corinthians 11, Paul is actually kind of like, in a scathing way, saying when and how, or when how you guys get together to do this is terrible. There's people who are getting drunk. There's other people that aren't even getting fed. Like, the way you're doing this is terrible, but doesn't actually give us the prescriptive way to do it.
No.
So I would still
no.
argue, even though, yes, there are sacraments that we hold to, and we do, baptism and communion, there's nothing prescriptive of how to do those things.
No, but I also don't think you can just. I'm not saying you do or we do, but like I don't think we can just also ignore centuries of tradition in terms of how churches have operated and done certain things throughout the.
Which parts should we keep and which ones should we get rid of?
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying centuries of tradition. Which ones would you
Things
keep?
things like confession. I think.
We don't have a confessional booth.
No, I'm not saying we do, but
Oh.
but like you see people getting together, confessing their sins. You see people taking communion. I think, and communion was something that was done on a weekly basis. I'm not arguing that I'm saying we should because we don't, but you see throughout the church.
It was
history-
almost tied to a breaking of bread and a relational
Yes.
thing that you see probably more than just a 3-minute moment,
Yeah. And
potentially.
And I'm not saying that what we do is bad or what they do is better or different things like that. I'm just saying that there are things throughout the church that the Capital C Church has done that are all things that are probably healthy and good for believers to be doing with one another.
Yeah, and I think, but even in that though, where
Yeah.
there is debate, I think the where this conversation lands is within that debate of things that is like, okay, should you do at the movie? Should you not? Should you show Wicked? Should you not? In that, where there's a lot of gray area and preference plays a heavy part of it, I think historically, people in general, but especially the church, when something doesn't line up with preference, it's automatically wrong. Not just, I don't like that, but it's incorrect or it's dishonoring to God.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of where I think as people of faith, we've got to remember like the whole, number one, you see a 15-second clip on social media, you have 15 seconds of the story, not the whole story. And number two, to remember that our preference isn't everything, or anything sometimes, that there has to be room for grace for each other in methodology.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you don't like that method, like there are methods of church I don't particularly care for, doesn't make them wrong.
No. And that's why you land in one church and someone lands in another church.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we need the diversity of methodology.
Yeah. And I think that this maybe isn't the right way to respond, but the people that get upset with at the movies or like it's watering down, there's a real part of me that like politely wants to just say like scoreboard, like the scoreboard's 35 people gave their life to Christ.
Yeah.
That's worth it to me, you know,
Yeah.
like, okay, you don't like it. That's fine.
Right. It might
But-
be effective.
It mattered to those 35 people.
And I had a guy that came up to me on Sunday who invited, again, this is one of those reasons we created it, had a guy who invited someone who just came and started working with him and her husband, and they came to church for the first time during At the Movies. I happened to, this is a shocker, I happened to make reference to an actual and share a bit of a Bible passage in part of the movie of Peter going to Cornelius' house. And the guy's name happened to be Cornelius. It just came. He was like, oh, did you tell him? You know, it was just kind of one of those funny coincidental things. But the guy gave me a hug and he was like, thank you so much for having this. The guy who invited him. Because it created, it's a joint partnership with people in our church to have an atmosphere and an environment where you can bring someone who maybe wouldn't want to go to church. And they're actually hearing about Jesus versus them deciding they don't want to go to church. And had they gone to a different place, not knocking it, it's preference. Had they gone to a different place that maybe doesn't engage with them in this way, maybe they're turned off.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying everybody's in a different place.
Yeah.
And so it connects. And
Real quick, I want to say, I mean, I'm part of this community, so I say yes and amen to the scoreboard. Like, I love that, and I believe in it, and it's powerful. I'm going to give a voice to the devil's advocate people just for a second because I want to hear your response.
Okay.
Because they're going to say, that's great. How many of them are still at your church? How many of you baptized? Are they still coming? Are they still part of it? Are they still growing in their faith? What are you doing to support them?
Well, I would list the various next steps that we have available to them. I would say, there was a whole moment where we gave them instruction on what they should do next. If they'll take at least one of those steps, within that step, they'll get another one and another one after that. And so
yeah, if anybody knows, you should know.
Because we had
people go to next steps. We had people do this, and
Yes.
so here's the
yes.
other thing. You know what
I'm
my,
just saying
you know what
that-
my response is to that?
That's just what
I'll give you a response.
You
to
know
that.
what people say that.
Oh, I know what people say that. My
Yeah.
response is what Jesus said, Matthew 13.
What's that?
Jesus, in the story of, I think it's Matthew 13, you can go look, of the parable of the sower, when he gets done, they literally, because this is that confusing moment of like, well, you sow seed, and there's different responses, and there's different heart, you know? It's I mean, this is what's hilarious to me. We're sitting here criticizing the method of throwing seed based on the long-term result of the soil that receives it.
That's correct.
Last I saw, the job of the sower was to sow the seed. There's different conditions for soil types that Jesus say represents people's hearts. Does that make the person who sows the seed incompetent? Does that mean that they failed if they sowed seed where someone has shallow soil? and you know the root grows, a little bit of root grows and it dies, or it's choked out by the cares of this world. Yes, as a church, we care about helping people take those next steps in discipling. But my bigger point is the parable. Again, I know it's terrible that Jesus used parables and stories, but the parable that Jesus did after that, which is, he said, oh, so there's a field where you sowed wheat, and overnight somebody went and sowed weeds among them, and now the weeds are growing up with the wheat. And the disciples said, oh, should we go in and pick out the weeds? And Jesus said, what? No. He said, don't, otherwise you may actually cut some of the other ones, the good weed that's in, or the good seed that's growing up in it, the wheat that's growing up in it. Wait until the end. And then when the harvest time comes, then he says, my Father will separate those. And so there's this whole picture of like, yeah, but how many of them stuck? How many of them? Well, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, I don't have a whole lot of control over what people do. What I do have control over is creating an environment and communicating the gospel and giving people an opportunity to respond to gospel and then giving them a next step in front of them. And if they'll take those steps and do it, we are right there with them to walk through all of those steps and help them get baptized. We have circles that can help people that are brand new to their faith. We've got so many different things. We've got labs. We've got so many different things that we provide people to help them take their next step. And at the end of the day, I look at what Jesus says, and he's, well, there's weeds that are growing up in there, so are you okay with it? And Jesus was like, yeah, you leave it. At the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, God will sort that out. That's not on the person who sows the seed. Again, I'm not talking about we're just an evangelist who put up a tent, preach a message, a big altar call, and then we leave town.
Yeah.
We're a local church that have been here for over 20 years. We care very much about helping people grow in their faith. That's not the only thing we care about. And so I would push back at someone who tries to push back on, hey, we're celebrating that 35 people said yes to Jesus.
Yeah. No, well, yeah.
Would that answer?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's well said. That's everything I wanted you guys to say. I think that all that is true, and yes, the next steps are all there for people to take. And we were just talking about this yesterday as a discipleship team. Like, you can create an environment, or you can do your best to try to foster an environment for people to want to grow.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like they have to take the steps, or they have to do the things to grow. Now, you want to do everything in your power to like encourage people, have conversations, give a language, create signposts for people to be able to grow and like understand what the next step is. And following Jesus it's a lifetime. It's a long journey. It's a long process. There's stages to that process, I believe. But it ultimately is each person's own responsibility to walk that process out.
Yeah. And I just think our job is to create the environment, to share the gospel, to come alongside and help people take their next steps. And if we choose to do it this way, here's what I'd say. I'm with you when you say, there are other churches that do things other ways that I would not want to go. It's just not my preference. I don't think it's wrong.
Yeah, I think we forget we're on the same team.
I know. It's like, I don't think it's wrong the way they do it. Well, the way you do church, the way you start your service, the way you do this, the way you that. I would never do that. That's a preference.
Well, it's the same way watch out for the sports references coming in hot. The same way on a sports team, you got positions.
Wow.
You play center in basketball, and on the point guard, we serve different purposes, but we're on the same team. So you're going to fulfill a different role in the team. I'm going to fulfill a different role. Church is the exact same way. Yeah. And a team does not function properly when the center and the point guard are fighting with each other over, well, you should play like me. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. It's not how it's supposed to be. It's one body with many parts, and each part serves its own purpose.
Yeah. I was thinking more the difference between like a run and gun, shotgun offense versus like a triple option.
Did you have
approach.
To ruin the fact that he just gave a sports analogy and you just had to jump
on
it with a better
it was
one?
basketball, which is what I played.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So I think one of the things we just want to land on, and let's just wrap up this conversation. I think if anything, we wanted to give a little bit of context to what we're doing as a church right now, not because we have to, but I think when there is. Listen, sometimes we've probably been criticized for doing stuff that I'd probably go back and go, you know what, today I probably wouldn't do it. Maybe at the time we thought it was the right thing to do. That's okay. I'm okay with trying stuff. I remember when we had church over at Brewdog.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we got a lot of criticism for that.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't open and serving beer to anybody,
Yeah.
but we just happened to use a very public place that also happens to be a brewery to have an outdoor experience, which was
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
It was so cool.
It was such a cool experience. And but we got criticized for that too. And we'll always get criticized probably. And if we're not getting criticized, I don't know.
Probably not changing
Maybe
culture.
we're not trying hard
Yeah,
enough
I'll
to
say
do
Jesus
stuff.
got criticized quite a bit.
Exactly. And who criticized him? It was always the religious. And that criticized him. And so again, I don't have a problem with the I don't have a problem with the criticism at times. I kind of am more bothered by the assumption. That's what I think is like, you see a little clip and all of a sudden, well, you don't do worship there. You're a sellout mega church that just only cares about is just idolatry. You don't care about glorifying God. You don't really care about worshiping him. You don't care. And I'm like,
Okay, I do have one question. I know
Yeah.
you're trying to wrap up, but
Yeah.
I do think this is an important question because we've hit this several times on a couple different previous episodes, and not specific to this context without the movies, but talked about having a critical spirit. Is there ever a right time to maybe share criticism or give feedback from one part of the body to another body in a church setting?
well, I don't know if time is it. I think if you were to ask me, I think there would be, is it invited? I do not really ever feel that it is my place to go and criticize another church. And we're not even talking about, I guess some people might say it, we're not talking about something that's heretical. We're not talking about, this is a method. They maybe didn't like the movie choice. That's fine, fair. But it's not like we're, glorifying Satan in the use of the movie Wicked. If you don't know, if you were here, you would have seen the parts and the scenes that we did, and that wasn't at all what we were doing. But I think it's more of, is that invited? I do think that at times there's probably when it is welcome or invited, and I would hope that I've got other people that I would allow to speak into my life. There's other pastors that I'm connected to of other churches. In fact, are probably the pastor of the people who are commenting on this stuff, that know me, know my heart, know our church, know what we believe in and what we do, that would not jump to an assumption based on a 15-second clip. They might go, "Oh, I saw you did that movie. That's crazy. That's bold. What made you want to do that movie?" And so I don't know that it needs to be our place, because I imagine you're thinking about all the theological watchdogs out there that do find it. They've kind of created. Can I say this? They've created a living and a following on actually being
negative
theological watchdogs for
Yes.
other churches.
Yes.
And I understand there's the aspect of false teachers and people that are
Testing out,
preaching
yes.
different, things that are
That's what I'm
contrary
saying.
to
Is
the gospel.
Is there ever a right time where it's
I'd say, is it more of a right place in a right way? I mean, I think if so, it is going to be very, very limited, and it's only going to be from probably a spiritual leader of a community to another spiritual leader of a community in relationship.
Yeah. Can I ask about a specific example?
Sure.
Just to tease it out. So like Benny Hinn is getting a ton of criticism. A lot of the criticism, if you don't know Benny Hinn, you can go do some research on it, is being spearheaded and led by Kosti Hinn, which is, I think it's his nephew.
Yep. He did a full-on interview, a really long interview about what it was like working for him.
And there's been
And a documentary. done on it.
documentaries and
I know,
different
I've
things like
watched
that.
his interview.
So is that a fair justification, criticism, things of that nature?
I don't have a problem necessarily with that. We're talking about somebody, who worked with them, who's maybe trying to do a full documentary. But that's also not somebody in the body of Christ, the church, doing it, as far as I know. It could be. I didn't think it was somebody from a church that was actually doing it. It was like a documentary
I remember
that was trying to, was it?
Kosi is part of the capital C church. I mean, he considers himself a Christ follower.
Yeah.
And he's speaking to people who are in churches about another ministry.
Let's put it this way. I mean, it's an interesting question because I've also seen a whole lot of negative feedback towards some other large ministries. You know, I don't even want to mention them, but I mean, we're not far from a church that's gotten a whole lot of negative feedback.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say. There's a lot of people out there that feel like it is their duty to do
Yes.
it. And maybe this is where we differ pretty
Yep.
significantly. I don't feel like it's my duty. I am going to be, here's what I would say. I think the one maybe difference that I will give you on that is we're talking about somebody who is a relative and worked with very closely in that ministry for a very long time, or for quite a long time. There's also a big difference from somebody from the outside who has no context, does not know relationship, doesn't know the heart, doesn't know the intent, doesn't know what we're trying to do, who only sees small little clips and then finds that it's my job to actually be the watchdog. I will never land in that place. And maybe because I know what it's like to be on the other side of it
Yeah.
and have people assume a lot of things about me and my motives for doing things that are not accurate to my heart. So, and one thing I always heard that was I just thought great advice that my father-in-law gave me a long time ago about another local church in the area that a lot of people have had problems with at times, you know, methods, way they do things. And when we brought it up, and he basically said this, he said, I never want to criticize what God might be blessing. And you might not agree with their theology, you might not agree with their methodology, you know, and all of it. But I just kind of always try to take that to heart and go, I just don't want to be negative about other churches because they do things a little bit differently. And theologically, we could be different on some. And I think we've also lost a full understanding of what heresy actually means because that word is dropped so quickly
Right. Yeah.
that it's not true most of the time,
Yeah.
at least in the traditional understanding of what a heretic is, a denier.
Be kind of fun to go through maybe on another episode.
Just all the churches in the area and just kind of what we think. Is that what you're thinking?
No.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Maybe like exploring that heresy term and maybe where it came from, and then maybe
Yeah.
some of the 2 or 3 bigger heresies that were confronted in the early church. It'd be kind of interesting.
Because the term itself is not a bad term. It's
No.
just the way it's used and understood in the church. It is, you know, it's just thrown around so easily when there's so much nuance in our
Yeah.
theology. You know, it's like if
Yeah.
you're a young earth creationist
Yeah.
and someone's an old earth creationist, and then all of a sudden you're a heretic.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like that's the wrong use
Yeah.
of heresy.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be I guess I'm going to lean on the way more cautious. What if God is blessing somebody who has a different theology and different methodology?
It's possible.
I don't know that I want to be a part of criticizing that,
Yeah.
even if I don't prefer it. And so so it's like with Benny Hinn, I've read and watched stuff, plenty of things that would give me concern, right? I don't feel the need to go on there and post on YouTube stuff and say all kinds of things about Benny Hinn. I don't know Benny Hinn. I don't know his ministry. I don't know the fruit of his ministry. I don't know everything that he believes. And I know in today's day, there are people who have all kinds of assumptions about what you and I believe because we're part of this church that probably are not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be really cautious.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the need. Even if I don't like something that someone posted, I'm just going to move on.
Yeah.
Scroll.
Because you've never heard the story of, I used to do this. Then somebody really drilled into me on social media and I changed my mind.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen
That
either.
doesn't happen. So,
Yeah.
anyways, we probably take somebody off with this, but that's okay. I just wanted an opportunity for us to create some context, even for our own church, when they see criticism come in from our social media, from other stuff. We're expecting it at times. We're not trying to get it,
Yeah.
but we're just trying. If you know our heart, you've been around. If you
Yeah.
listened to the series we did right before At the Movies, then you'll know my heart. You know what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and with the story, we had a servant leader who works in the auditorium, he told me when the series started, he goes, yeah, at the movies, when it comes on every year, I sometimes have to, like, it's not always my favorite. It's not what I look forward to. I have to check my heart. He was like, but then I go around and I talk to people, and I realize how many people started coming to our church because of At the Movies. He was like, it blows my mind, and it gets me excited for the series.
Wow. And that's somebody who doesn't love it as a preference.
Which
but
is
they
really
understand
cool.
why. I
Yes,
love that.
yeah.
I love that. So, anyways, hopefully, thanks for joining in this conversation. Just thought it would be good to add some texture to what we're doing right now, and we'll probably release this episode either this week or whatever next, and it could be a good conversation around At the Movies. So,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us for this episode. Hopefully, you stuck around for the whole entire thing, and if we ticked you off, I apologize. Please send your complaints to zach.brown@thex.church.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew.
zach.brown@thex.church.
Let me know if you want to talk about heresy, too.
And
We don't
yeah,
want.
if you're interested,
we don't
man.
want to talk about it if you don't want to.
It could be a fun. It could be a
fun.
fun topic just to kind of talk about, like, hey, what would maybe classify as
Yeah.
real in the church world heresies
Yeah.
versus the difference of nuance of interpretation.
But if that sounds boring, let us know, too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us once again. Until next week, have a great one.
Hey guys, it's Russ. Thanks so much for listening. We really believe if we can get around tables instead of behind screens, if we can talk to each other instead of at each other, we can make the world better. To help us do that, here are a few things you can do to help. First, if you haven't yet, leave a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe on YouTube. This helps more than you know. Also, if you have been impacted by the community out of which this podcast comes, that's X Church. Maybe you're local or you've been touched by the messages and impact across the country, even the world. I want to encourage you to support this work. A powerful life principle is to invest in the people and places that invest in you. And so I want to invite you to do that right now by going to thex.church/give. You can give a one-time small gift, a sacrificial gift, or even become a recurring partner. Together, let's keep elevating the conversation, thinking higher, loving deeper, and making the world better. Cheers.